Hi guys, this is Steve and you're listening to the Retro Asylum, the UK's #1 retro gaming podcast, and joining me today, again, is the one and only Adrian and Graham from Zapped to the Past podcast. Boys, how are we doing?
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you very
good,
much.
thank you. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I'm tired. I've been building a summer house.
You've been building a summer house?
Yeah, in the garden for the last week.
Did it blow away in the storm?
No, we finished it just as the storm was starting, and I was very worried it was going to do that, but it didn't. It's still there.
Result. Absolute result.
Yeah.
So, boys, just saying to Adi there then, it's 5 years almost to the day since we had you guys on last time.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a bit strange. 5 years. 5 long, painful C64
Arduous.
gaming years. Yeah, some of it has been. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It's a different time.
It is at a different time. It's funny because I followed you all the way. I've listened to it. I think I've listened to all of the episodes, and it's been brilliant. But Adie's messaged me a couple of times, and he said, thanks for supporting us and stuff. But I have to admit, it's been a little bit selfish on my own part. It's a bit of an ulterior motive because I started listening to you guys at the start. I used to love Zzap Magazine, and I was like, these are talking about Zzap. They're talking about the Commodore and a great laugh. This is brilliant. Please don't stop. How can I make sure they don't stop? I'll invite them on the show, and hopefully people will listen.
Well, I do want to say, before we get into other stuff, that your support's been ace. Completely, incredibly
really
appreciated because you have been backed us in. Whenever we listen to Retro Asylum and you're on, you always give us a shout out. And when that happens, our numbers go up. Every time, without fail. So either people are hearing that and going, "Oh, what's this?" or people are going, "Oh, we haven't listened to that in a while." But our numbers always go, which is always pleasant to see. Numbers going up. We like that as gamers. But yeah, so we always see that, and so I can't thank you enough, basically, for the help, support, and everything that you've done over the last 5 years. It's been, immeasurable.
No, I have to agree.
Absolutely, my pleasure, boys. Like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed the show from start to finish. It's been crazy. It's been funny. You go down some crazy wild avenues for talking nonsense, which I love, as well as doing some really brilliant in-depth in-depth reviews, especially when the games are awful. That's probably when you're at your peak, ripping into some of the worst games. But that's brilliant to hear that you get a bump when we talk about you. Dean's got a thing. He always talks about this guy, Mr. FPGA, loves the Mr. Computer, and he always mentions it at the end. And I thought, right, well, I'm going to mention Zapped to the Past now. That's my thing. I'm going to chuck that on the end of every episode. But it's been a pleasure. And I've heard you guys mentioning your Patreons and your list of your new guys, and I've heard people from our Patreon have joined, which is great as well.
Wow. That's really cool.
I was like, I know them. But yeah, so how does it feel, boys? It's been a long journey, hasn't it? Like 5 years, and how many magazines, how many episodes?
So episode 223 will be tonight's, and then there's the bread bins after that we do, which is like our awards, and then we've got the bread bin awards for 1992, and then we've got the bread bin awards, which is my idea of hell by some of the research we've been doing into that, because that's like the best games of all of throughout the whole life of the podcast, and that's just like I've just been looking at them going, I don't know how we're going to decide some of those, but. And then it's been a real journey over those 5 years. Some highs, some not so highs,
some very very lows, some very lows. Let's face it.
Yeah. So the lows have never. I thought maybe there'd be space for me to be able to finally embrace some game types that I have tried and struggled with. I'm never going to come to terms with some of them. Football management games, they're not for me. And some of the offerings we've had, they're not for anyone. And generally, some of the sports games I've not been very happy with because they're just crap versions of the sports. And I think what I've thought about some of the games is that the mastery of some of them came a lot earlier than I thought it would. So we had some of the best shooters were around the 88, 89 mark. Some of the best games were around the 80, 85, 86, maybe 87. Just towards the end, it's like no one gave a shit. There just wasn't so many coming out. So
Gary
and when the ones that were coming out,
Gary Lineker did.
Gary, like all games.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Gary. We know you're happy with just moving a square around a screen, but off you go.
Love squares.
Gary Square. No, Gary, not today.
Not today.
You're not square.
Yeah. But it's been a journey, Steve. And like I said, I've learned a lot about, because I, like a lot of people, my knowledge of the C64 games was actually quite small. Not through that I didn't enjoy and have a C64 and get into it at the time. I was, but I just seemed to focus on the same, X amount of games that everybody seemed to be talking about. Everyone likes Last Ninja. Everybody likes Delta for the music. Everybody likes Sanction for. There was just games that kind of had the rose-tinted goggles over them a bit, but there was a whole bunch of games that I just never even come across in all of that. Now, some of those were good. Some of them were really bad. But there's been the occasional gem, and it's those gems that have kind of really kept me in. Because every now and again, just when I'm reaching the point, I think they can't get much worse. A really good one comes along. You'll get a game that really surprises you. Things like The Train, or and just there's just been the odd game where I never really came across it at the time, and they're genuinely great games and put together with some real passion. And it reminds you that in the right hands with the right developers and the right graphics, people doing the graphics and the right music, when it comes together on the C64, it's a formidable machine when it really is put to its prime use. Things like Armalite spring to mind for just how great they are, Retrograde, and certain publishing companies, your Thalamuses and your System 3s, aside from Mark Cale's crazy stories and all the other stuff that he comes up with, the guff that comes with them, and some amazing musicians have come out of that. And so I've looked back, and as much as it's been a journey through wading through some proper dog eggs, there's been some gems in there, and that's kept me in it. There's been, early on in the days, how many games were we doing at 1.8? We was smashing through about 20, 30 games. We physically play all these games. It took me ages to get through them in a week. And then we were recording mad episodes back then, weren't we? It was really hammering it.
Yeah. The biggest one, the most. I think it's March 87. No, February 87 is the biggest one we had, and that one was 41 games in that issue of Zzap.
Wow!
In 3 episodes, we did that. 14, 14, and 13. I checked the other day because someone was asking. I don't know how I did 14 episodes in a week. 14 games, in a week.
No. And some of them require a lot of, because we've got to hunt down the instruction manuals as well, because obviously they're not very well documented, or not many existing. So you sort of trolling the net looking for those. Lemon's been an amazing resource. So there's some amazing resources out there. I say Lemon, Games That Weren't as well, and just Moby Games, and just places where the archivists have been and put some of these things out there, which really enabled us to get behind and find out who did what and where they are. And sort of do those things, and that's sort of added that extra dimension to what we were doing as well. And then just discovering sort of some amazing graphics artists and designers, and they're still at it today. Some of them, I just found it all quite fascinating that's where it all led. It's
actually been such an impressive undertaking, because you've obviously gone off and played these games in depth. That you've given them time. You know what I mean? You've got, because I test games for PlayStation. I boot a game up and in 5 minutes go, this is shit. I want to turn this off right now. Do you know what I mean? That's like, I don't want to spend any time getting into this. But you must boot up certain games and go, God, this is awful. And I've got to get further into it so I can give a balanced, it might be good in 3 levels. I'm going to have to find out. And that's full on.
No, it's true. And I don't know about AD. I don't think you do. I don't put any of the cheats or anything like that on, because the temptation would be to stick some of the endless live cheats and stuff, and I deliberately don't, because that way, if I need to die in the game because it's literally so crap, I'd rather die than carry on playing it. Then mercifully it gives me sweet relief from the pain. But because you need to play some of these game arcs properly to get the full experience, because some of them don't have endings, they don't crash, or they crash arbitrarily, and some of them weren't even finished when they were released. Some real big hitters, and you don't discover that with cheat modes and things like that. So I don't employ them. So we really are playing those games in the way that they were intended to play.
So we don't have to.
Exactly that. And, I stand by that. People say, how many games have you played? I'm like, a lot. And significant proportion, I would say. I'd say never play some of these. No, they should never have been released. Not ever.
No. I mean,
it's a disservice.
I can't believe you don't love the Neighbours game and Action Biker. You know, I've heard you guys ripping me these episodes, probably deservedly so. Come on, but
that Neighbours game is
garbage.
It's crap.
I know, I know that. That's just because I like Neighbours, and now it's gone. So here's a question for you then. So now that you've come in right to the end of it all, if you could go back if you could go back now and start it again, would you change anything? If you were to go back to that person and go, I'm starting it now, would you do less games? Would you only do the best games? What would you do? Or would you just do it as you've done it? Because you cover so much, the music, other stuff.
Yeah, I think we found our mojo kind of, and we found our routine, I think, quite a few episodes in, by about episode 30. So the first few episodes, I think, were a bit, I don't want to say slapdash, but we're a bit like we're trying to find the formula and the structure and what was going on. We like hesitant, in the early episodes, we're like, oh, here's an article from Zap. We'll talk about Denton Designs, and I remember doing that. And we did, you know, we're looking at what was going on in the news. Yeah,
we did,
and we stopped the news section because it was so depressing. We were like, this is really depressing. Yeah. We can't talk about this. So we stopped.
Have you heard of AIDS?
Yeah, that's what it would have ended up being.
Tombstones.
One of the early episodes, we were talking about someone that had some major heart operation. I'm like, why are we talking about this? This is the bleakest thing. You've gone from these fun 64 games to someone who had heart surgery. It's like, no, we need to rethink that a bit. That's when back in those early days when you used to do that really weird swearing warning at the beginning of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
The occasional swear word might slip in. I'm like, it might slip in. I can tell you by episode 25 they are slipping in.
It's a weird mix because you've got like, so Commando's great. Also, Freddie Mercury's died.
Exactly. So that sort of had to change, and we had to sort of jettison anything like that. And we found that with the films, the TV, the music, it gave a nice balance and allowed us as well, especially when we started to get to those. Because when Zap first started, or when we first started with Zap, there were quite a lot of reviews in those first couple of issues. But I think in that first year, there's one with only about 12. And I was thinking, God, that's not a lot. I look back at it now as like, that's hundreds. But but back then I was thinking, what if there's not enough? And so we've got to fill this up with podcasts because it can't be this. And it was Graham's idea to do something else alongside it right at the very beginning and sort of break it up. And that just morphed into just sort of looking at music. And then I can't remember what happened, but then we started doing every new release. And then that became like this thing we sort of tied ourselves into doing. So every week we'd be looking at every new single that was released in the charts, every new album. And we
listened to them.
That's another thing. We listen to them songs so you don't have to as well. And some of them I wish I hadn't. God's sake. Especially as the years have gone on and it's got more and more housey and techno-y and dancey, which is not my cup of tea, as you can probably guess.
To be fair, the longevity of Shakin' Stevens in the music industry, it's a revelation to me. I mean, Cliff Richard is endless, isn't he? But Shakin' Stevens, I thought he'd like disappear at a certain point. And some people's careers, like what's her name, Sam Fox as well, they had way more singles than I thought they did. Most of them really awful as well. Like they get progressively worse.
Yeah, and Tony Hadley's still around. What's he still about?
What's he still doing? I mean, I've noticed more recently a distaste for Brian May's singing.
Yes, that's probably
that was a given.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like, why are you doing this? It's not driven by you, Brian. Stop singing.
No, well, we've just got in 1992 is when they had that guitar expo. And they showed it on TV where he sings that very live version of Everything I Do. And it's like, it haunts me because I remember hearing it thinking, don't hit that note.
Yeah, please, Brian, please.
And he's got Steve Vai stood next to him. He's got Joe Satriani stood next to him, Nuno Betancourt, all these famous people. Joe Walsh, he's got Cozy Powell on the drum. Got this amazing Rick Wakeman on keyboards. This amazing, band, as it were, on stage. And then he decides to do that. And I'm like, why did nobody just go, right, don't you sing that? I mean, the guy from Free comes up and sings a song. I mean, get him to do it. He's a great singer. I mean, don't you do it, Brian. Just stick to guitar, mate. Stick to making guitars out of wardrobes.
You're great on the guitar, mate. You're brilliant. Yeah, stop singing.
Absolutely. I promise you all the backlights for your hair you could ever want. Just don't sing, please, for the love of God.
And you can tell how much Graham was annoyed by it because it's 34 years later and you can still hear the anger in his voice.
I
remember at the time. watching it with him.
I watched the expo about a week ago because it's on YouTube. I watched it again because I thought maybe I'll give it another shot because no, I got to that point and I was like, no, there's a scream in the background and I'm convinced it was me at the time and it just echoed through Spain. It just went all the way over there. So no, it's again the music section. It was always just to sort of give you a cognitive dissonance, a bit of a break from the games break. Yeah, exactly that. So, and it gave us a chance to sort of just separate things up. Getting chapters in the podcast was a bit of a good thing. Well, I think we got feedback early on from one of the listeners on Twitter, I think it was, that said, can you put chapters in it? And we hadn't to that point. So when we putting them in, it also then meant we could segment it slightly better, which sort of the podcast started to make sort of structural sense.
Yeah.
And that then really solidified it. And it actually really helped me in the terms of producing it. I mean, I have to say the first 20 episodes are a bit of, hit and miss in terms of I didn't quite know what I was doing with I had Adobe Audition and I was armed with a YouTube video on how to do stuff. And it took me a while to get to the mojo of that. But once we got there, and but the format then settled, and then we just could then iterate, and we started to figure out. And then when we did the sort of AD reviews, and I'll do comment, I'll review, and AD does comment, and that kind of format. Once we found that, because the early ones aren't like that, it's just kind of a sort of a brief chat about the game. What do you think? Yeah, it's all right. What do you think? Yeah, it's all right. Anyway, about the next game, it's kind of brief.
So if I could go back, on for 15 hours, if we'd have done them like we do them now, with those 14 game episodes. I
think if I was going to go back and just give ourselves, I'd probably say, you know what, this is with the benefit of hindsight, the format, maybe the first 20 episodes are probably not the best in terms of the format. The format establishes a bit later. I'd probably go back and say, just get that format in a bit earlier if I was going to say anything, because it does kind of work. And I think that's what people have come to like. And I mean, early on, because we didn't read the manuals and the instructions, which we make sure we do now, and we didn't credit the artists, which we do, and we've learned from those things to make sure that we're attributing the blame in some instances to the right people and the right designers. But I think that's what I would say is just that maybe get to that a little bit earlier and maybe drop the heart attack news and the other weird stuff that we were covering in them first episodes and stick to the good stuff. Yeah. Because there's a lot of music we didn't cover, which now back in 1985 would have been quite interesting to do. So maybe could go back and revisit that. I don't know, but that would be what I would say.
I mean, from an outside point of view, it definitely didn't sound amateurish at all. It sounded, I mean, you hadn't quite got your format in place at the start, but the banter was there. All the games were getting covered, and you were having a laugh. And that's really, really important. You know what I mean? If you're starting a new podcast, because we've done it, I mean, saying that, I joined the Retro Asylum about 12 years ago now, and it had been out for a few years. But my first 2 episodes it's longer than that now, 14 years or something. But your heart's going on the first few. It's like people are going to listen to this. I was talking in my phone voice. When you do your answer phone voice, I was like, "Hello, this is Steve. How are you?" It's like, I've got to stop doing that, mate. It doesn't sound like you. But yeah, from the outside, you couldn't tell that it was like, your first. Was it your first ever podcast? Have you done anything before that?
Yeah.
Was this it?
No. That was the first. And we did it. We did like a pilot episode. We did release it, but we did the initial pilot episode 0. That was the very first thing we recorded. We never actually released it originally. We kind of retrospectively released that. But that's the earliest recording of us, and that was literally the first thing we ever did. And we weren't the setup for the technology was weird back then. So I was recording the audio on my end. AD was recording the audio on his machine at his end. No cloud recording or anything like that. AD had to emit this really loud beep at the beginning of the podcast, and I had to put my headphones over my microphone so we could synchronize the audio.
Yep.
Mad when I think about it. And then we discovered kind of the cloud-based stuff and some of the the podcasting tools that were.
Honestly, I mean, we were like, I was 14 years ago when we started this, so we were doing a clap. We were like, 1, 2, everyone clap, 1, 2, 3, clap, and you did. Oh God, it's all over the place. Yeah. And I used to edit them. The worst one I can tell. This is your podcasting nightmare. So one episode we did, it was 2 hours long, and there was about 5 of us on it. And I was wearing inline podcast headphones, iPod headphones, and I didn't realize instead of using the max mic, it was using the little tiny stupid mic in the wire.
Oh
and
no!
It sounded like I was inside a packet of crisps.
Oh no!
That's the whole thing. So, and no one told me. No one on the call went, by the way, you sound shit. They just got on with it. And I come to edit it and I put it on and I went, oh my God, it's just me. Everyone sounds fine except for me. It's 2 hours long. And I tell you what I had to do. This is the worst thing I've ever had to do, is I re-recorded all my parts. Like,
wow. That's
dedication.
I had all the tracks up, and it was Cubase at the time. I had all the tracks up, and there's mine with all the noise. And I had to go up to where I'd say something, listen to myself, and then go, right, re-record it, say it again. And the worst thing was when I was like laughing at someone's joke or laughing, we were having a laugh, and I'm having to re-record that like after the fact, and I'm going, ah, ha, 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 ha. Put it back in. It was, oh my God. But no one noticed. I was like, got away with it.
There you go.
Yeah,
well
done.
Disaster.
Absolute disaster.
We've had similar disasters, Steve. I mean, there was one time when part of AD recorded the entire episode with his microphone the wrong way around, so it was just his audio.
No, that was one episode. That was, if you listen to, I think, episodes 27 to 31, and you wonder why I'm a bit muffled. It's because I'd put the mic. I'd moved my computer or something, and then put the microphone in and put it backwards.
And then was one time when we had an entire part of the audio that hadn't recorded at all, which was luckily it was when I was doing a review and AD's audio just hadn't recorded. So I just hunted for little clips all the way through of the podcast, other clips of him laughing, and then just put them in. So there's one episode, I think it's about episode 40 something, where AD's laugh is the same laugh all the way through the podcast. So he's like, all the way through, he's like, I'm like thinking, shall I slow it down or speed it up, or how can I give it kind of a different tonality? I thought, I'll leave it, see if anyone notices.
I'll use it as a ringtone.
But yeah, there's those moments of panic.
Oh man,
when we've done it. But yeah, it's been a journey with doing stuff like that. We've got better at it, I think, over time.
I think you absolutely nailed it. Have you jibbed off now the crap bits? I've noticed them in the last couple. Well,
I mean, because what happened, I mean, obviously because I do all the sort of pre-prep for the episodes. Graham does post-production, I do pre-production. It's how we kind of split the sort of workload. And so I would go through all the issues of Zzap, CMVG, Commodore User, anything, those kind of magazines, they can see what I could find. And unfortunately, they just got better. They just got better at doing the adverts. So the odd one would pop up now and again, and we'd pull that apart. But they just got better at doing the adverts. So it wasn't that we stopped. It's just that there weren't, the plethora that we had back in the 85, 86, 87, where there was just so many of them because they were so bad. That just sort of tailed off. And so there's some we've had some god awful covers. Covers of games that we've seen recently, box art stuff, but the actual crap bits, and it's probably because as well, Commodore User changed to Commodore Amiga, CMVG just stopped covering 8-bit stuff around this time, and Zzap didn't have any adverts in. It became like a pamphlet. It's about 68 pages long, and there's barely any adverts. So that was why.
There wasn't as many games either, and so we every now and again one pops up, and we did look sometimes at some of the occasional Amiga one had slipped in there, or the Spectrum one where there was a C64 version, but the advert was just but it was like we naturally come across them. So when we're looking through the Zzap, when we're looking at the issue, because obviously we look at every cover and we read, we go through the magazines prior to every episode that we record. So they're naturally found. So sometimes we'll find them in the process of doing that, and then they'll be grabbed. And normally AD finds them, like he says, and he'll put them in the agenda, and I won't even know they're there until we get to the actual crap recording of it, and he'll say, right, now scroll down your, and I haven't actually seen them, so a lot of the time that's the first time I'm looking at them when we do those crap. So my reaction is quite raw and real. So when I see those typefaces, when I see those typeface confusion and drop shadows, that's the real anger you're hearing, because it's like nauseating for me. I'm like, oh no. So I
remember the reaction, the shock, the two of my favorites are the boxing robots and the driving robots. Which I remember because they're
4D boxing.
They're just so good. Lasers coming out their eyes while they're driving, and I remember he hadn't seen them, and I was like, oh, he's gonna love this.
We went to town on them as well. It was hilarious. They were hilarious. They were so bad. That car they were in, it's like, why would robots be driving the car? And they had headlights on the car and they had lights coming out. There's a whole bunch of stuff that was wrong with that.
I do love how technical you were with like taking them apart. It's like, why have they used that font size? That's a straight. Why is there drop shadow?
Such a stickler for stuff like that. You know, and with that robot, the boxing one, they were wearing shorts. To this day, it haunts me that they put shorts on them. Like,
and socks.
And shorts and socks on robot. Why?
Why?
Why would they do that anyway? Yeah, and so classic lack of thought. Or there was a point when they were obsessed with really muscular people in games. You know, the sort of heroes were always quite big and muscular, but they didn't have any idea of human anatomy. So they just kind of. I mean, I'm no artist. I tell you, I'm rubbish at drawing. I really am. But I look at them and think, I know that's about apparent what I could do. You know, they had 22 packs on their stomachs and more biceps than a human should have. And you think, what is that exactly? And then some of them just had very dubious pants on, and you think, why? Outfits and a combination of weird details all added up, and then I'm such a typeface nut, so I'm sat there looking at them going, oh my god, there's a sans serif, there's 5 typefaces on that advert, and don't kern it like that. I'm such a nerd for the stuff like that, and I've got a book of arcade. I've got a book of arcade typefaces. Like I literally bought a book just a display book with arcade typefaces, and that's how nerdy I am about it.
I like it. I like it.
So.
So, boys, we're heading to the final episode. This is it. We're nearly there. So, as we're recording this, it's the next episode. Yes. And I believe it's there's some tragic news to announce that there's a Dizzy game.
People would have heard it. Yeah, there is.
Have you not been punished enough?
Oh, tell me about it. I know. How many adventures can an egg have without cracking and breaking? So
why did it go on?
I mean, do you know in this one, which was it? Is it Dizzy? I can't remember.
Prince of the Yolk Folk.
Prince of the Yolk Folk. I mean, oh my god! In this one, he starts trapped. He starts trapped in a room with a jug, a box of matches, and some tinder. It's just like it's obvious what you've got to do. They're not even making the puzzles challenging anymore. It's just
cook him. You've got to cook him.
That's all you need. All I need is a frying pan. Come on, let's go.
Man. Scrambled egg. Right.
There's a torch as well, so I just kept throwing him into the torch till he died. That's exactly what I did. And he just crack open.
Just honestly, those games, and they're just never. I mean, especially the latter ones. They're never that good. No, we're never that good. I mean, I'm Peaches the Converted. I've never liked them particularly, and it's no disrespect to the creators. You know, I'm sure they've, Salvador Dali levels of egg fascination there. But I am an advocate of the egg, Steve. I'll tell you, I like a good egg, but not like that. In the Matrix tradition, not like this, Steve. Not like this.
Not like this. I'm with you, mate. I'm absolutely with you. I mean, fair play to these guys. The Oliver twins. They smashed it out the park. I wish they'd smashed the actual egg, but they smashed it out the park.
Exactly.
And they made a fortune with it, and a lot of people absolutely love it. One of our ex-hosts, Andy Guto, he's a massive fan. But for me, I was just like, oh, I can't. No. This is not for me. This is doing my head in. Why is the egg drowning? It's sealed. It's an egg sealed. Why does it drown?
Yes.
It should float.
I'm with you on
unless
that.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Or not.
Exactly. And it's exactly that. And the sort of my idea of an adventure must be very different to their idea of an adventure. Because my idea is, if you go on an adventure like Robin of the Wood kind of adventures or Sacred Arm of Antiriad, but you can't just replace that with an egg and make and it suddenly becomes a really fun adventure. It's just it's not good.
But
it's not good to do that. And then the game logic, go 50 screens to the left, pick up cheese, go 50 screens to the right, put in bread, eat sandwich. It's like no, that's not an adventure. This is mundane tasks with an egg involved. No thanks.
I think it was the first one where you get the snorkel. And you can go underwater and you pick something else up under the water, and it takes the snorkel off. And
yes,
you die.
That's right.
And I'm like, yes, this is now a blank tape for me to record.
Yeah, and exactly. They've made an egg murder simulator, haven't they? There, it's like how can you murder an egg? And there was what was that other? There was another game because there was this Dizzy games, the traditional Dizzy ones, like this one we've got coming up. I mean, I imagine there'd be a Dizzy game in the last ever episode, or a Bully's Darts game with rubber wristed participants, but where we are. But there's other ones that are sort of they're Dizzy games, but there was a puzzle one which was actually not too bad because it was less dizzy and more.
Are you thinking of Seymour?
Oh no, is that a potato? What the hell is that thing? It's not an egg.
We don't know what Seymour is, but that Seymour game was awful. That previous one, the one where you started in the car. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, that's when they've got those. When they do Spectrum graphics on a C64, I mean, the Spectrum's, it's its own thing. I'm not going to diss the Sinclair Spectrum and go back to being at, junior school, whatever. There's some good games on that system, but keep them on that system.
They don't port.
No, just when the C64 doesn't have a natural home for them. It's got a high res mode, but it looks a bit washed out. And give me, as much as medium res on the C64 is, wider than it is tall, I quite like it for that. And you can get some nice shading effects with the 4 colors and stuff. Just stick to that. Stick to sprites, actual, hardware sprites. They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
But
use it to its strengths.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
There's games on the Speccy I still like. There is, I like Attic Attack and those Ultimate games. You don't like them. But the C64 wasn't the home for that. You needed a game like Armalite or some of those other games with really nice detail in the graphics and like the Antriads and the things like that. There's some of those games are just give me them Barbarians and fancy stuff like that. Give me a good old fashioned medium res, 4-color medium res. And see what you can do with that. Commando, yeah. You don't really like Commando, do you, Wade? I quite like Commando, but
it's all right. It's okay. It's all right.
It plays well. It plays like the arcade, and it's got great music.
It does.
Yeah.
There's only 3 levels. Only 3 levels.
Yeah, but I was only 8. That's loads.
And they're hard levels.
They're hard. Yeah, it's really hard. You get to the second one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I preferred Who Dares Wins 2.
Yeah,
a bit more depth. A bit more depth to that.
Yeah.
So, in this final episode, have we got any good games then? Because obviously we got a Dizzy game. Did you say Bullseye?
Well,
is it a Bullseye game?
Okay. Do you want to know what the games are? I'll tell you what. There's this Dizzy shit. There's Frankenstein.
That's not the official title, by the way. Dizzy and the Egg Folk, whatever it was. The
Yolk Folk. There's a Frankenstein game from Zeppelin, which I was actually a sneak preview. I was quite enjoying until something happened. You'll hear about that in the episode. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it annoyed me to the point where I was like, I wanted to, I was like, I need to have words with the designer here. What else we got? Oh, we got a 1982 version of Chess and Othello.
Yeah, which plays exactly as it sounds, Steve.
Wow.
Badly. I played chess and I switched it so it could go first. It moved its queen on the first go. It can't do that.
That's not a move.
You can't move the queen. You can't do that.
No, it wouldn't let me move my bishop. It wouldn't let me move my bishop. I'm like, bishop, whatever, move to there. No, it was like, boop. Like just key, because you have to key in the sort of the coordinates, D2 to whatever. Boop. Yeah. It kept doing these beeps and beep. I'm like, just do. And then when it was its turn to move, it took about 15 minutes. I'm like, why is it taking so long? Is this the first move? It's only got to move a pawn. Or whatever, it's like one move. It took 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is tragic. I can't
probably going, nobody's ever played this far into the game. What do I do?
Yeah. And then the final game is Bully's Sporting Darts.
Is this Bullseye from the TV show Bullseye?
Well, it's got the it's nothing to do with Bullseye. It's just got Bully in it. But so it's just got Bully in it. But on the loading screen, they've sexed him up.
They have, yeah. He's kind of. He's got
eyeliner on. He's got eyeliner on.
Okay.
Guy liner
so
in this case, I think.
It's very strange. It's like Flanders in The Simpsons. It's like stupid, sexy bully. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I'm like, what is this? But but then it's just it's like that Jockey Wilson darts compendium thing from ages ago. It's just another, and that's it. That's what we got for the last week.
Yeah,
it's not it'd be like a real recreational Bullseye. Like you've got your £6. That's safe.
There was a version of Bullseye came out in 1985 that never hit Zap, so we never looked at it. But according to Lemon, there is anyway. But I don't know. But anyway, this one is it's not even got any music. What's a Bullseye game without Bullseye music?
Yeah,
you need that.
Come on.
Yeah, it's as bad as that Match of the Day game.
You were saying I've just listened to that today, and there was no theme tune.
God's sake!
No Match of the Day music, and it's a Filofax simulator.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's as bad as that cricket scoreboard simulator we had the other week.
They're all in the lowest threshold of scores as well. The scoring for Zap over 1992 has been wildly inaccurate. I mean, it used to be that there was a good approximation between the scores of the percentage scores in the magazine and what we would look. And there was for a while we aligned. And then throughout 91 and then certainly 92, the scores are off the chart bizarre. some of them make no sense whatsoever. So games that we know are really rubbish, unfinished, nonsense. There's been a couple of them. They've got quite high percentages, and you're like, what on earth's going on? And the games that you think would have quite good percentages have got very average percentages. It's like, look, in the last year of the magazine, just give it, either give everything good if you're going to do that, or review genuinely. They were always, they always kind of stood by that up until a certain point, and then it just started to drop off. And I think as they got more desperate and as more advertisers kind of clearly controlled the final few issues, really. There's an entire issue which they may as well call it the Elvira issue. I think I forget about 3 or 4 issues ago, which just so replete with Elvira posters, giveaways, freebies, and the game got a really great review, Elvira 2, and yet the game is distinctly average. It's certainly not worthy of that. And there's other games that didn't put in the money and didn't get the advertising, and they're much better, but they don't really get a look in. And it just seems a shame that it ended like that, which has been kind of the tragedy of towards the end of this podcast is watching Zzap start to fall apart from its once greatness. Yeah, and I think back to this, there's some issues of Zzap, which because everyone remembers the covers, the amazing Ollie Frey covers, and they sort of drop off. Everyone remembers some of the cracking reviews in there and the games that were everyone remembers the tapes and some of those cover tapes, and some of them they will remain, but there was a big drop off from the early days of them, the original cover tapes when you had that demo of Last Ninja on it and stuff like that. And that Gribbly special and the Delta Mixie load, and there's just really exciting stuff on this tape and there's great content in there. And then I look at the last issue and I'm like, it's just, you could see it had run out of steam. I mean, I know it changes to the Commodore Force or something. But ran out of steam by then, and then the games are running out.
It's a big shame because I remember it in its heyday. I remember it was like Julian Rignall. Was it Gary Penn? Was he
Gary Penn? Well?
Yeah, and they wrote when they wrote an article, you read it and you thought he's telling the truth here. He means it. He doesn't care about advertisers. He doesn't care about anything, especially Julian Rignall. He was very much like a brilliant games player, and he would play it to death, and then he would tell you the truth. This is garbage, or this is brilliant, and you could trust what he was saying. And then it got to a point where it just fallen off a cliff. I remember reading one review, and the two guys are arguing with each other, like inside the same review. One guy's going, "This is absolutely brilliant. What a fantastic shoot 'em up." And the other guy's going, "Awful. Absolutely. Couldn't play it. It's rubbish. It's so slow." And then 85%. Like, how are you
ended
one
up
of them
there?
do it? How have we come to that?
Yeah, you can't really. I mean, there's the classic one you always go back. I always go back to is the Fist 2 review. And Gary Penn's just take down of that in a couple of columns. And because everyone was frothing at the mouth for Fist 2, everyone was like, it's going to be amazing, and the Commodore user gave it 9 out of 10 or whatever, didn't they? And everyone was like, oh, it's going to be amazing. And then Zzap gave it 30 odd or something. It was like quite a low review, 30, 40 odd, and this is just not very good. And they're like, wow. And then you played it and you're like, yeah, they're right, it's boring.
Well, I mean, it's because it's easy to forget. I mean, back then the power of the reviews that were in that magazine, because buying games when you're that age is expensive because you're either using birthday money or Christmas money and things like that. It's not like now where you can readily accessible and and downloads and stuff like that. I know it's an old man shouting at clouds. Bear with me, but it was more like you just you were investing in them, and so you really did your research. And if Zzap said it was good, it was pretty much a good benchmark that it would be. I got duped by the Fist 2 review in Commodore User, which was this effusive sort of, this is going to be a masterpiece. And I remember buying that game, and I remember that horrible sinking feeling you get when you get a game and you load it up, and I remember thinking, oh, this looks okay. That music started, that creepy music, and then I was just endlessly walking through greenery, and it's like being trapped in sort of a garden center, periodically getting attacked by ninjas. And it was just like, and then just finding trigrams. I'm like, this is Wade the Exploding Fist. There's no fists exploding here. Mercifully, International Karate Plus restored my faith in the fighting games, really. But it's those sort of reviews where Zzap were really, they really were honest about that back then. That really were landmark reviews. They were important. And if it wasn't for some of the reviews in there, like they obviously their review of things like Last Ninja and stuff like that, they really did, but that was really important. I remember saving up like crazy to get that, and when they go rushing to Boots and buying it, and the date came out, and racing home, and my mates came round, at the time because I was, it was 2 Spectrum owners, and I was, I'd already shown them the C64 demo Last Ninja. Yeah. I was ready to take them down with their egos at this point. And remember loading it up, that music starting, that initial music, that Daglish music, the picture of the ninja's eyes, and I remember thinking, this is going to be something. And then when the game loaded and the graphics appeared, it was like that gong sound. It's even now I've got sort of shivers. You get shivers thinking about that because those moments are truly amazing, and it was Zzap that fed into them. And then later, it's like, it's just a shame it went the way it did. And you're thinking, well, they couldn't have had the impact. I mean, if anyone went out and bought Match of the Day on the back of the review, because, can you imagine how disappointed you'd be when you led up thinking you was going to play a football game with Match of the Day? There's no Match of the Day music and you're presented with a crap 8-bit file of facts to manage. Like, well, this isn't what I paid for.
No.
$10.99 it was. 11 quid for that.
Oh. They knew though, didn't they? They knew this is coming to the end, and we've just got to try and milk this now. Whack the price up, try and sell some copies. It's on its way out. Everyone's going to the Amiga.
Yeah, absolutely.
And well, I had at this point. I mean, I'd joined the dark side at the time. I'd sort of reached the point of where I could go with the 64. I was part of a demo group. We'd done a bunch of demos. I was trading lots of software at the time as well, so I wasn't really buying anything. And I have to say, I wasn't really playing anything. I'd get the game, check they loaded, and then I'd be packaging them off to different contacts all over the shop. In all fully legal, transparent method.
I won't report you to Fast. I won't report you to Fast. Don't worry.
I know people that were genuinely scared about that. So I ended up doing that, but my Amiga Switch came shortly after that. I was like, I'd seen that. Everyone had seen that Defender of the Crown, by that point. And everyone that was it. I was sold. That and Starglider, as much as I hate Starglider, but those 2 games sold 16-bit to me.
Vector Graphics sold you a 16-bit machine. There's a statement.
There were solid graphics on the Amiga one. There weren't vectors on that.
Yeah, were they? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I walked into
Starglider music.
I walked to a gaming shop in Liverpool called Bits and Bytes, and I saw what was on the screen. Shadow the Beast was running on one screen. Blood Money, the intro to Blood Money, which was the meteorites bouncing off. And I was just like, what the hell is this? I have got to get this. But talking about Fast, I can tell you a quick story. My mate up the close when we were kids, we both had Amigas, and we found this guy advertising in the Echo, the Liverpool newspaper, and he was basically pirating games. And he just said, phone up for the latest Amiga game. So we phoned this guy up and we called him Mike the Pirate because that's what he did. And you'd phone him up and he'd just go, have you got Shadow the Beast? Have you got this? Have you got that? Yeah. Have you got Nebulous? Yeah. He said, and it was £1 a game. So we'd buy between us 6-7 games, with £3 then, £4 then. And he'd turn up, and we lived in bungalows with a little courtyard in by the front door. And my mate's bedroom was his window looked onto the courtyard. So Mike the Pirate would appear, and we tap on the window, don't ring the bell. And then we'd open the window a crack and hand the money out the gap and then take the discs. Thank you. And then he'd go. And then this one day he'd come round, deliver some games, and then we're sitting there. And I looked out the window and I went, Paul, I can see there's a van outside. He goes, and I said, it's got Fast written on the van.
What?
And he went, what? And I went, I think Fast's outside. And he went, what do we do? I said, we've got to get rid of the games. So we had 2 massive cardboard boxes full of copied games. We ran into his back garden and threw them into the woods over the fence. Right? And I was like, we sat there in fear waiting for the door to knock and everything. And eventually I went, I'm going to have another look at that van still there. And I went and looked again and looked a bit better, and it just said Fast Deliveries. It's just a delivery van. It's like, right, we're going to have to go in the woods and find all your games. Yeah, but they were good times.
Yeah. I mean, because I remember at a certain point where when it was C64 trade, and I had about 50 different, maybe 50, 60 contacts around the world at this point when we was really in the full throes of the demo group and the trading. I was receiving I remember my mum and dad sort of coming to me one day in the bedroom, and he just knocked on the door, and there's this stack of envelopes clearly with discs in, and he sort of brought this big stack of discs. He's like, whatever this is, right? Is it? It's not illegal, is it? I'm like, no, nothing. It's just discs. Open one. Look, it's just discs. What's on them? I'm like, just programs. He's like, there's nothing illegal going on here. I don't want you getting into any trouble. Like, no, nothing illegal about it.
It's a grey area.
Yeah, I showed him a demo. It's just a demo. Look, and he's like, all right. And as soon as I showed him that, and I saw him glaze over. He's like, man, he's just doing nerdy stuff. Whatever he's doing.
He's not going to jail yet.
No, and I remember and then emptying the envelopes because we used to get people to sellotape over their stamps and then so they could rub the postmark off and send them back so we could send your stamps back. Yeah. So we used to do it. No, I wouldn't advocate doing that, but nowadays, of course. But
what was your demo group called, by the way?
S-Express. We were the S-Express crew. So it was about 9 or 10 of us across the UK. AD was part of that. Gary, who's podcast friend Gary, who's periodically he is actually one of the main founders of that. Actually, really, he was down to him that found him and a guy called NMI, and I think Paddy founded the group. Really, we were at school, and then I joined it about a year later because me and my mate Joe could code on the C64 badly. But we could code better than them. Bear in mind, although they were obsessed with boobs as well. They just wanted to make boob demos all the time. They did one called like Bra-Barella and Boobarella. It's just boob obsessed. Barbarian, that was one of their demos. So we I felt that we brought proper demo skills. We did scrollies and sine waves and stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what they were like. Just boob images,
Very good.
So it's very good. So we just did that, and that was kind of it took off from there. We was only really doing it till about 1990. We did the last few demos. We did this big mega demo, which is on the YouTube somewhere called Cyanide 2, which is that was kind of our big mega demos with the thing at the time.
Yeah.
On the C64 very early on, Amiga they'd had plenty of them, the Bud Brain Mega Demo and stuff like that. We'd been heavily influenced by that. We lacked some of the skills. My mate Joe was a savant programmer, and he'd never really carried on with it after we'd sort of disbanded the group. But honestly, talk about a gifted person with doing that kind of stuff. You just seem to be able to, a bit like an Archer McLean, I imagine. You could just sit in front of a computer and just figure it out.
Yeah.
Raster time, raster bars, figure in fancy, graphic effects. Just figured it out. So we had a good time doing that for a while. And then it just, as you do, we got to teenage and other priorities hit, and then I switched to the Amiga after that. And I'd still traded on the Amiga for a while, but mainly demos and stuff like that. After all that time in that demo group, all that time, a year and a half in the demo group, 18 months, I never bought software again for the rest of my natural life up until I got a proper job. Because the people and the contacts that I'd made and the friends that I'd made throughout all that time, that network still existed for a long, long time in the Amiga and beyond. And I'm still friends with some of those people to this day. We don't trade software or call each other lamers. At least I don't think we do. But
or send greets.
It's mad. Yeah, I'll send greets. We joke about that with Gary, actually, podcast friend Gary, because he was always putting Peace 89 on everything when he was obsessed. He was obsessed with rap, in a good way. He's a very cool character, and he used to always put that at the end of his scroll text. And they'd always do this in my bedroom.
You should send messages with like curvy scrollers to each other.
Yeah, we should. I mean, sine wave for the win, right? I mean, we also used to do this. It was all in my bedroom, this, Steve. My bedroom was like the center point for this. So it always smelt of baked beans and dirty teen stink and farts. I think I breathed in more gas in my... That's probably why I'm bald, actually, when I think about it. So it was all done in my bedroom. Here. Yeah, exactly. Well, you'd come, deposit your eggs and then leave. I was breathing them in all night like a fool. But it's like we formed strong friendships at school, and that's and the reason why when you say, Steve, the banter in the podcast and everything else, and that's always been there because what you hear is how we've always been. That's AD and I have known each other a long time.
Absolutely,
absolutely, since school, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like nearly 40 years now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, and so that that banter that we have, that ability. And one of the things I've always thought is that we're both at the fundamentally daft. We like being daft about stuff, and we often go off on tangents, as I'm sure you're already aware from this very recording. But we'll often go off at tangents. But we've got this thing where if I start something, AD will carry it on, and then it can go on for ages. There's been times when the podcast's taken a real twist. When we've been talking, and all of a sudden, especially the music sections, it's gone like a full-on mad rant, and then we kind of like AD brings it back to reality. It's like, right, I think we perhaps should move on. So that banter you hear is, and that's genuinely what we've always been that way, always, right from very early teens.
But that's what's really come across well in your podcast. It's come on really well. Is that you'll start going down some tangents, and then one of you just finish it off, and then the next one's up in the ante, and you're doing it again and again, and it's just going completely nuts. And it's 10 minutes now before you get back to the game. But But that's what makes it unique, or interesting and fun to listen to. Because if you did just do a straightforward, boring, review of a game and then on to the next one, you're not going to pull that audience in the same way. Because I think it's the same with our podcast. It was always like a bunch of mates down the pub having a chat about their favourite games. And
it is.
And having that, like, you're almost sitting around with them and having a pint kind of feeling. And yeah, you guys remind me of like me and my mates. We were at school and we were doing all the demo stuff. I mean, we weren't making demos. We were just like playing demos. Everyone was obsessed with Amiga demos for a while.
They were
shareware out of magazines and stuff. But yeah, it was great. So yeah, you're coming to the end now. So I mean, it's sad that it's going to be the last episode. So what's next? You're gonna have a breather and a few weeks off, and then come back. I know you've got some new plans. So what's next? What's coming next?
Okay, so we've got We've got our Bread Bin Awards. So we've got the 1992 Bread Bin Awards, where usually the hardest categories to do with the music and the best game. This year it's going to be the worst game because the competition for the worst game this year is fierce.
Fierce.
It's fierce. So there's going to be that. Then we've got the Bread Bin of Bread Bins. So that's
nightmare.
That's going to So all the winners, and we're sort of talking about why did we pick that? We were having a conversation yesterday about how did we not pick Driller? How do we not pick Driller music over Tetris and things like that? So we're going to revisit some of these things and do a definitive. These are what we think are the best in these categories over the entire life. That's over the next few weeks, and then take a break. Not so much. I think we're basically going to slow down. So the plan is we're going to switch to a couple of episodes a month, and I've already gone and looked at Commodore Force. So the plan is to sort of kind of keep it what we do, C64 themed. Commodore Force did, I think, 45 games over the duration. We can't do a monthly because there are like 5 issues of Commodore Force where there's no new games reviewed, which I found crazy when looking through it. It's like, what are you doing? What's happening here?
What's in there?
So yes, I don't know what's in there. So we're going to probably go through them over like the next year, as that'll be one of the episodes each month, and the other episode is a kind of we'll do something else. So we've got sort of plans to look at films, music. So where that films and music stuff we kind of do, we'll move over to that, and we'll sort of pick a subject or a theme or a set of films or a set of something or other, and that'll be or a set of TV shows or something, and that'll be that one. And that's the plan. So we're cutting it down to like 2 episodes a month, which is good for our, because we're both very busy at work. We've both got lots of things going on, and I'll not lie. It's been some weeks have been tough to get everything done, played, recorded, reviewed, and an episode out every week consistently. And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of over the last 5 years is we've pretty much done that. 250 or 260 odd episodes now over 5 years. That does work out about one a week almost. So we've been pretty consistent. So we're kind of just giving ourselves a bit of a break during the month, and it's not. And the episodes will be shorter. They won't be as long, as big. They'll be a bit more concise, but it'll still be us. And I say they won't be as long and they won't be as concise, but I know what it's like when we get going. That. Yeah, when we get talking, it just keeps going. So I don't know. That'll be the
honestly, I thought this would be about 15 minutes. We're coming up to an hour. We're coming up to an hour.
Exactly. We can never shut us up. But yeah, that's. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a little change of pace and cadence, but it's still going to be fundamentally it was. There's still game related stuff. There's stuff that will be some of the things we've sort of just going to be looking at are things that were influences, sometimes directly, indirectly related to the C64. We were 3 friends, me, Gary, and AD, all friends through that entire time, and it wasn't just about games for us. We were listening to music that we were all into very different music and stuff like that, and different movies, and we were very much at the time video piracy was kind of the big thing, so we were watching. So it's just fun to bring back some of the things that were happening at the time as well as the games, and to see what our take is on some of those now. Looking at things like the Tron movies and stuff like that, where there's a kind of a line to draw between that and some of the C64 stuff. Jean-Michel Jarre music, for example, looking at some of that. Just because there was a bit of a thread of that on C64 games, and Hubbard and a few of them did a version of Zuluk at times in some of the CompuNet demos rather. So it's just there's little tie-ins and things like that, and I'm quite looking forward to that sort of little change of pace. But there's still game reviews to be done. There's still some work to do. There's some modern games I'd like to look at and and sort of getting to grips with some of those and modern C64 games, I mean, and things like that. Yeah.
And we'll revisit Battle of the Pilots. We haven't done one of them for a little while, so we'll be doing those because we like doing those because they're always quite fun. Because picking a couple of TV shows that were terrible at the time and they're quite interesting. So that sort of thing.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if I can give you any advice from someone who's been on a podcast for years now, what I would say is you've absolutely nailed it with what you've done so far. You've absolutely smashed it out the park. And it's obvious that it's been a hell of an undertaking and a hell of a lot of work. And I think to continue and keep your momentum, not keep your momentum, but keep enjoying it. That's the important thing is, number one, you've got to have enough space and time to still be able to do things in your life and it's not like a full-time job. And number two, when you are doing it, it's got to be something you're looking forward to and you enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I think that's perfect that you're giving yourself, you're still keeping your toe in the Commodore 64 thing because you will have a lot of fans who come in via that. But I'm telling you now, those people are going to stick around because of you guys. It doesn't really matter now. I'll tell you now, if you actually drop the Commodore 64 and just went off to do Amiga or something else, they're all going to stay because they're sticking around for the banter, the fun, the stories, the tangents. So I wouldn't worry too much, but it's great that you are sort of keeping in that. But like I say, if you get into a position where it's not taking over your life and you get into a position where you are looking forward to what you're doing, which is like you say, giving yourself the ability to go, well, this month's going to be about TV shows. We're going to do Knight Rider and the A-Team, and we're going to do this, and then we're going to go back to the games, and then we're going to do something else. Giving yourself that license to just enjoy it and talk about what you want. I think as long as you just got a bit of nostalgia in there, you'll be absolutely fine. You will not lose a single follower, and I think you'll continue to carry on getting them as well.
Cool. Yeah. Well, hopefully that's the plan because we enjoy. I mean, you can tell sort of thing from the music and the film and the TV sections that we enjoy those just as much as we do the games because that's who we are. We've always loved those sort of things. So just having an episode where we sort of that is because those sections can run to like an hour. And that's a good episode, for a podcast. So it's not like lack of content. We've got loads of things we want to talk about in a bit more depth. And as Graham said, I think the first month we are looking at Tron, aren't we? The Tron series of games. Sorry, the Tron series of films, and then obviously within that will be the Tron discs of Tron, the Xbox Tron that I'll probably talk about, and things like that. So there's Tron games, Tron films, Tron stuff, Tron. We're doing Tron.
I believe the last film was awful, but I haven't seen it.
Really bad. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I haven't watched it yet. I didn't actually. I only made it 30 minutes through the second one, so I've got these treats lined up.
Well, lady, you can watch it, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. I think I've done that with some of them, but I've tried to warn Lady about the Tron. I mean, Legacy, all right, but Ares, my gosh, it's off the chart. Crazy and really rubbish, so expensive rubbish. So it'd be quite interesting to see what AD makes of that.
But I think that's the thing we can do, and I kind of want to do something where there is that a sort of modern angle, so Tron Ares, but it's linked to the that nostalgic, comes from the 70s, so 80s sort of thing. Like you could do the new Predator Badlands because you could talk about Predator and Predator games and things like that. So those kind of things, they kind of work in tandem where you can go up to date or you can go back, and that's kind of where we kind of want to go, I think. You could probably
look at indie games as well if you wanted to, the retro style ones, if that was something you're interested in. We get a lot of them coming through in work. You just like, wow, this looks like a SNES game. This is great.
Absolutely. There's rich ground for us there, and there's quite a lot of modern C64 games as well to look at, and there's quite a few. Some of those ones have been coming out, and I keep an eye on some of those. I know they're not. Some of them are, with all the extra fancy, tech and bits and bobs in there, but I'm still there's some some good stuff happening in that homebrew, whatever you would call that scene. So
the scene is alive and well, all of it.
Yeah, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing some of those as well. I was playing Million Molly, which is a game that I'm quite keen on, both the mobile version, and I was playing the C64 version of that, and you forget how good some of these games really are, the newer ones. So quite keen to look back at some of those.
Brilliant. Okay, boys. So before we wrap up, let's do the big sell. That's what I want to. What's happening with this Kickstarter is what I want to know.
Okay, so so we've got a Kickstarter coming out because basically we've mentioned it on the podcast, but we are doing a book. So we're doing a book based on Zapped to the Past, and we are kickstarting that. So if you go to Kickstarter and search for Zapped to the Past, you should find it. By the time you listen to this, it should be out and launched. or at least the pre-campaign will be up and on. Because I actually found out where to do that today. It's all new to us, you see, this Kickstarter stuff. So we're like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And suddenly we're like, oh, it's that button. Oh, right, yeah. The one that says pre-campaign button. Oh, that one.
That's the button.
That's the button. So the book is essentially 20. We're picking 25 games from the course of the podcast that we're going to review in our inimitable style. Sort of one of us is going to write the main review, one of us is going to do secondary commentary, and that's kind of what the book is. We've got an illustrator on board, so we're going to have bespoke illustrations for all the sort of new illustrations for all the games. We're kind of sort of advising on them, and it's just going to be a fun, but quite a. We're aiming for. Can I use the word prestige tome? Can I use that, Graham? So. Yeah, that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, prestige tome, and obviously we're writing all of the content in there. It's all new material, so it's not like we're regurgitating the podcast. We're going back, revisiting the games, and replaying them, and then creating, another review, but obviously in the spirit of the 25 games we've played, so you didn't have to. So there's going to be some good ones in there, some excellent, some dog eggs and stuff like that. But we're going to review them in the way we review everything, which is, we're taking in off the rose tinted spectacles, and revisiting some of them, and some by kind of demand. There's been we have lots of good conversations with our patrons via the Discord that we have. And so we've got a nice community of people that talk to us, and obviously with people like yourself as well, Stephen. Just a community around that sort of support us and give us encouragement to do certain things. And they're kind of saying there's certain games they want us to go back to.
Elite.
So Elite being one of them, because I think there's a genuine consensus is that they're never changing my mind on it, Steve. It'd be like giving me a dizzy game. But we're going to be looking at some of those, and then in the tome and the podcast, and do it the same for the book. And the book is something we're producing. Obviously, we're kickstarting the publication of that, and so that's quite the important part. So there's tiers and there's all that stuff that you go on there to do. But the book is being written and made by us. So I'm doing the typesetting for that. We've got an illustrator doing all of that. So this is a book we're putting together from us. And for the first time, I can choose my own typefaces. I can tell you that it's given me a warm, particularly feeling thinking about it. But the good thing is that this is a book of the people that made the podcast. We're making it ourselves. This is very much a thing from us to the people that have listened to the podcast over that time. And we've even got the forward written by David Hearn, who's one of our, like yourself, Steve, one of the longest serving listeners and supporters of the podcast I think we've got.
He wrote
and
that
so
book,
Escape from the Commodore 64. Yeah. And he's done us he's written the forward for us, which is really brilliant. It's a book where we're trying to give something back, and obviously we've got to kickstart the funding for that, and so it's dependent on everybody sort of chipping in and buying a copy so that we can get it published. But assuming that happens, and I'm fingers crossed it does, I'm excited to see see it all come together, because we've written some test articles and stuff like that, just so we can get typesetting and done things like that, and it really does look the part. It's all of these images and stuff are all on the Kickstarter page as well, but it really does look like something you'd want on your shelf. And I'm not just saying that, but it really does. And I'm quite proud of how it looks so far. And I really want to make that a reality, because I got quite excited by the typefaces alone. If I'm unleashed with Adobe and designing some typefaces, it keeps me happy for hours. But it's coming together really nicely, and the style of the writing that we've toyed with is genuinely funny. It is written exactly as we are in the podcast. So when you read it, you'll hear our voices, and we've even got our own typefaces for our own sort of tones. So it's really nicely it's really nicely coming together. So I really want it to get published, and I certainly would like it to get kickstarted to be able to do that, which is kind of where we've done it. It's a kind of gift back, isn't it, really, Aid, I think?
Yes. Yeah. So it's going to be launching toward I think the last week of April, maybe I don't know when's this coming out, but I think we're going live around about the 23rd of April for 30 days. So through and just past Zap Live. So we'll be at Zap Live as well. So if anyone wants to come talk to us as well. So we'll be there, and we'll be sort of talking to people and pressuring them to go buy Kickstarter.
Cold hard
Have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done it yet?
Do it now. Get your phone out. Show me. Do it now. Have you done it? Buy two.
Scan this QR code.
Absolutely. You're not leaving this table till you have. Go on. Do it. Do it now.
Is there multiple tiers? What can people get on the tiers?
Yeah.
Have they been organised yet, or what can you get?
Yeah, so there's a basic PDF. I've just sort of followed because this is the first time we've ever done this. I kind of had a look around what books do. So there's a PDF. There's the basic. There's an early bird. So if you're getting quick, you can get an early bird copy for a bit cheaper. There's a standard book. There's a signed copy. There's a signed copy with choice of artwork from the book, from the illustrator, so that they'll get that. Then there's two. Is it two? Two. There's two special. They're pricey, but they're thingy. Pick a game. Pick a game book and everything like that for us to review.
Yeah.
So they'll get their game in it.
Yeah.
So they're two games. Yeah. So two of the 25 will be picked by whoever picks these tiers. But it does say within it sort of thing. Don't be annoyed if we don't like it.
Yeah.
So you can't if you've listened to the podcast and you're willing to spend this money on it, and you pick a game like Elite or Mercenary, which is what we're expecting. Or
Southern Belle.
Yeah, Southern Belle. It'll just be one word every line.
Yeah, just that's it. Just put one word at crap, and then just let entirely blank page, and then
chew.
yeah,
crap.
But it means that people can dictate a couple of the games, and obviously they'll get they get a credit in there. This game was chosen by this particular person.
So
all that kind of stuff.
All tiers get a thank you within the book as well. Credits.
All that.
And will there be an interview with Gary Lineker in there anywhere?
Now, it's funny you say that, because Mr. Lineker, we've put it to him, and I think I can safely say Mr. Lineker is going to make an appearance in that book, without a doubt. I think with Gary's Lineker's puzzle page.
I love it.
1 + 1.
Lineker's hopscotch. Yeah, that's there's a
it's a maze with just one tube, just beginning and end. That's it.
So you've got
a word search with just his own name in it, and he can't find it.
Yeah, he's got Connect 6, but there's only 5 square. It's a complicated character, that Wordle, but there's no words in it. Pointless, really. Just a drawing of a hamster or a football. He's an odd guy. But yeah, and then so we're getting other people. It's not so much involved, but the Gary Lineker's going to be in there. There's some crapverts are going to make an appearance as well, where the classic crapverts. If you've listened to the podcast, you'll know probably at least a couple of those where we really went to town on some of those early ones. So they're going to make an appearance in there. Where we can sort of revisit them and just and give them a good pasting again, and we had such a laugh with some of them, and I'm not going to spoil it by say which ones we're looking at, but so the Crapvert's going to make an appearance. Gary Lineker will be in there. It's very much in the spirit of the podcast. We were talking about doing sort of a couple of adventure games. When the text adventures have always caused more laughs when we've done the reviews of some of those, or some of the isometric games and stuff like that. So expect that level of. That level of that, expect that and then these piffling bears have chasing up this tree again. All of that kind of banter that we've had in the podcast is very much in the book, and it's written exactly. And funny, like I said, we were doing sort of test writes just to sort of see how it would land and what the feel would be, and I read them back. It's exactly as you imagine it was going to be. It's really funny. It's a really good laugh, and I'm chuckling as I'm reading Adie's book, what he wrote for this test. But I won't spoil it by saying what the game was. But I was having a real chuckle reading it. I'm thinking, if it's making me laugh, and I'm just laying out the text essentially at this point, you're in for a treat. I think because I'm quite looking forward to getting stuck into some of them games once again. It's like a battle, Steve. Please don't anyone pay the extra and get a Dizzy game in there. I don't want to have to do that.
I'm not writing 2,000 words on a bloody Dizzy game.
I'm paying for Neighbours. I want the Neighbours game.
Oh, no. I thought you'd go for Action Biker.
Oh, I love Action Biker, man. That's like the original GTA. It is. Yeah. It's the first open world game ever.
It's New York, New York. I said this to you. It's a game called New York, New York.
I forgot about that New York game. Yeah, that was that one that was clearly GTA, wasn't it? Man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so boys, where did they go to find this Kickstarter? What are we looking? Where did we go?
Oh, if you go to Kickstarter, I don't have the URL. I'll see if I can, because the URL is a long, painful URL that they give you. If you just go to Kickstarter and search for Zap to the Past or ZTTP, you'll find it. Or even it's tagged with C64, Commodore 64, Zap to the Past. ZTTP. If you just go to Kickstarter and type that into the search, we'll pop up.
Yeah, and we'll put links on our website. We've got zappedthepast.com. There'll be links to the Kickstarter from there as well. So we'll make sure that it's well linked into all the other areas.
And it'll be in the show notes for the podcast and anything like that. So it will be once it's live and up and running sort of thing. They'll be in there. So yeah,
excellent. Yeah, well, I'll get Dino when we put this out to put the link in with this as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you.
When's it running from? When does it end?
The date at the moment we have is, I think it's the Friday the 23rd, because we put the episode out for the patrons on the Friday. They get it on the Friday. It goes general release on the Monday. Kind of want it to start on that when that last episode, the Bread Bin of Bread Bins, comes out for the patrons. So that's the 23rd of April. So it'll run for 30 days from there. So what's that? I'll take it up to 22nd of May, I guess, whatever that is, 21st of May. So that's when it'll be running through.
Yeah, excellent. Well, through the magic of technology, we'll get this episode to come out while it's up and running.
Awesome. That'd be brilliant.
That'd be mega.
Yeah.
Excellent. Boys, okay, well, we'll wrap up. I just want to say congratulations for absolutely smashing that podcast all the way through. Absolutely
Appreciate
huge
that.
undertaking.
Thank you.
You've done it. You absolutely, and I was like, this is such a huge undertaking when I'm listening to them that they're not going to do this whole thing. there's so many games and magazines, but you've done
it. As a question there, I mean, Alex, this is what happens. We're 1 hour 10 in now. We're supposed to be 15 minutes. What did you think at the beginning? How long did you give us in honesty? Because what was your expectation? 10 episodes. Okay.
10 episodes. And I, honestly, and I said it at the beginning, it is true that I thought I need to get you guys on and hopefully get some exposure because I didn't want you to stop. That's the real reason. I listened to it and I was like, this is great.
So
I love this. I love Zzap Magazine. I love the stuff you're talking about. I love the Commodore. And I love you guys are just hilarious. And the banter is great. I'm listening to it driving to work. I'm laughing along with all the tangents and stuff. And I thought, I really hope these guys pick up and take off. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to message them and see if they want to come on so we can just give them a little bit of a boost and get more people in. Because I thought the more people we get listening to them, the more embarrassed they'll be if they have to stop. So get loads in and then they won't be able to stop and they'll have to do the whole thing. So it was like a cunning plan, really.
Cool. Well, I think the other thing was as well is
I've achieved it.
You have.
Yeah,
go me.
You have.
Go
You
me.
really have. Yeah, you really did.
I think as well I think Graham and I have worked on projects before. We're in a band together back in the early 90s. We did a fanzine together. We've done loads of things together. And I think the thing is we work well together. We have kind of complementary skill sets, but also I think we also have for me, and I'm going to guess this is for Graham as well, we don't want to let each other down. No. So there was never a point where it was like, we've started this, we will see it through for each other. And I think that was that's part of what we do. So
it was a commitment we made at the start. We're like, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do it all the way through. And it has been tough at times, but and when we've had amazing encouragement from you guys, that really does boost. That really, I can't tell you how much that does boost us. And the times when we have been up against it a bit, that really does boost us. And think, you know what, there's people out there that are enjoying this out there, and if someone's having a chuckle, and having a giggle on their way to work, or something daft that we've said has just given them a bit of illumination. We were going through, when we started it, we were going through lockdown, for goodness sake. So the world was in a funny place. And so if people have found, a route through that, and we've been a small part to help them through that, what more can you ask from anything you've ever made? It's just, it's had a little impact and made someone's lives that little 1% better. That's all I ever needed to make sure that we could carry on to the end. And I think we've done that. And we'll probably
you
keep
absolutely
doing
have.
It
You absolutely, you have. You've, like I say, you knocked it out of the park, and it's been a pleasure listening to it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through. It's been great to see that it's grown. It's been great to see like people from our fan base coming across to your fan base, and I love that. You know what I mean? It's like the more stuff like this, the better. I've never been one like just us, just our podcast. I'm like, no, let's more stuff for people to listen to and more things that you're interested in. And you guys have absolutely like been a brilliant part of that. And I'm saying like talking like you're a new podcast, and you're not now. You're half a decade old, so you're not. I'm now talking to podcast experts, not amateurs at the start. We're now talking to like long in the tooth podcasters, and it's brilliant to see. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I say, absolutely congratulations. I'm so pleased that you got to the end and you've nailed it. I did message AD the other week and said you should do a an April Fool's, and like
you did.
I was like, with 2 episodes to go, just put a post out saying you're not finishing it, you've had enough. I thought that would have been great. You know what I mean? It's like we can't take any more. So
there's a Bullies game. There's another Disney game. No more.
I can't do it.
I can't do it anymore.
But yeah, guys, it's been absolutely brilliant, and it's been my pleasure to help you along the way. And even if it's in a little small way, it's kept you guys going and helped more people come into the fold. Really, I'm really pleased that that's happened, and I'm really pleased that you guys are carrying on in a different format. And I hope you carry on enjoying it and keep putting those great episodes out, and I'll still be listening. And if you need a proofreader for your book, give me a shout. I'll have a...
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, we'll take you up on that.
Oh, good. That'll save us 600 quid.
No worries, man. That's only 500. 500 from me.
Oh.
Shouldn't have told
still
me the price. It's still cheaper. Yeah. So, boys, like I say, thanks so much for coming on again. Congratulations on getting all the way to the end. No problem at all. And good luck with the Kickstarter. And fingers crossed, you'll smash that target, and everyone will be getting to read this in a book instead. I'll put it on my coffee table.
Yeah, if it all goes together, by the way, it's out in November. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up, but thanks so much for coming on. And anyone listening to our show who hasn't checked out Zapped of the Past, you're missing out on a treat. I'm sure you've all listened now anyway. But if you haven't, go and check out Zapped of the Past. If you like the Commodore 64, you like Zzap Magazine, or you like crazy, mad banter going off on tangents for hours, this is the show for you. So go and check these guys out. Boys, nice speaking to you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.